launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Monday, November 7th, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. I know there's a contingent of people out there who believe that you can only build a limited amount of muscle using body weight resistance. But I'm going to say that those people's gains are only limited by their creativity. Because as you can see here, when Regan Grimes ran out of weights on the stack, he added on the other side a person's body weight into the mix, and his gains seem to be doing just fine from where I'm seeing. At this point, Regan's 2022 season is already in the bag, so he's focusing all of his efforts on getting himself ready to hit the ground running in 2023, when he's expecting to really make a strong push towards establishing himself as a legitimate top 10 athlete in the open division. Over the last 2 or 3 years, he's been steadily taking steps to get all the pieces in line, and now it looks like he's probably right where he needs to be. So he puts together another solid offseason similar to the one he just had. He's going to give some people fits once he finally dials it all in. Recently, I was listening to former FBI hostage negotiator Chris Voss give a talk, and I heard him say that the best strategies are the ones that are easy to teach, easy to learn, and easy to execute, which is probably something every coach and every athlete should remind themselves of every day. 9 times out of 10, when you start to overcomplicate something or add unnecessary layers to it, it slows down the process, which is exactly what you don't want if you're a high performer or if you're in a high-stakes situation, like preparing to make a run at the Classic Physique Olympia title the way Urs Kalecinski is right now. Based on the handful of updates that we've seen from Urs in recent weeks, it looks like his conditioning is already way ahead of last year's pace, not to mention the fact that he's added more quality muscle since his win at the Boston Pro back in March, which should make him even more dangerous once he starts to really hit the gas. We've already seen a really good version of Urs push some of the best guys in the division for everything they've got this year. So, if he comes in with better conditioning and improvements to his arms and back, he could potentially push for a top 2 spot depending on how things shake out. There are a lot of things about team sports that also relate to bodybuilding, and this one just came to me this morning while I was thinking about the Buffalo Bills and their odds to make it to the Super Bowl this year. You can do a lot in one off season. Sometimes when people think of the off season, they get too tied up in thinking about how a team or a person can improve a weakness without considering how they can actually improve a strength and improve a weakness at the same time, which is what it looks like both the Bills and Nick Walker did during this last off season. Yeah, Nick Walker is coming back bigger this year, which is something that we all probably could have predicted. Yeah, Nick is coming back bigger this year, which is something that we all probably could have predicted would happen. But one of the things that I don't think a lot of people saw coming, or maybe even thought of, was him really spending some time trying to figure out how to improve on one of his biggest weaknesses, which was his waist. That tended to make him look a little blocky from certain angles. But to his credit, Nick didn't double down on his strengths. He also went about trying to correct one of his biggest weaknesses. And the net result of him is looking like he's on track to easily be at his all-time best 6 weeks from now. And just like we're seeing with the Bills right now, when you strengthen your strengths and improve your weaknesses, that can make you a juggernaut. And that would be bad news for everyone else who's having dreams of getting a title shot. And last but not least, our final update of the day comes to you courtesy of Marc Hector, following his announcement a few days ago that he was shutting down any plans to compete again in the 2022 season after suffering an apparent knee injury. According to a report from Marc's camp, He's been dealing with a lingering knee issue since around the time his prep started for the Yamamoto Pro. And despite doing his best to train around it and trying to nurse it back to health, things ultimately kept getting worse to the point where it completely locked up and had some pretty significant swelling. Right now, the general sentiment from Marc and his team seems to hint of him being able to bounce back from this without needing to take too many steps back, which is great news for him considering the fact that he was really just starting to come into his own. The guy obviously has a ton of talent, and it's a shame to see a season derailed like this by an injury. But if he can bounce back to be at full strength in time to make a strong push by the end of next summer, he should have plenty of time to show the world what a 100% locked and loaded version of Marc Hector is all about. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.